Hello, Oklahoma, and I appreciate the opportunity to visit with you today virtually. I want to thank Rod for making this possible for me to be able to visit with you, the grassroots of Oklahoma Farm Bureau. I think it's important that I have the opportunity to reach out and communicate with you. Uh, as far as you, the voting delegates and the grassroots, I want to thank you for sending us such a great guy. Rod is doing such a tremendous job as a board member. He asks all the right questions, and I just really appreciate his counsel. So, thank you for sending him to represent you on the American Farm Bureau Board of Directors. You know, virtually, we trying to meet. We have experienced unbelievably learning curve of trying to decide how we're going to communicate. Zoom has become part of our lives. We even lay down at night sometimes and think we're on Hollywood Squares when we shut our eyes. So many squares before us. Of course, we would all love to be in person, shaking your hand, looking you in the eye, and talking to you personally. But hopefully, really soon, we'll get back to some normal way of meeting together and communicating. But because we're virtual, it has been a great learning curve, and we have been very successful in doing that. Just to give you some idea, in February we had about 35 Zoom calls that month, and in April it had increased to 750 that month, and I'm sure it's even more than that today. It has forced us as an organization to evaluate the situation we was in. A lot of you have traveled to Washington. We have a lot of in-person meetings. We're not being able to do that. So how are we going to communicate back to our grassroots? So the communication piece has been part of the silver lining of what's happened in COVID, because we discovered that we could take every week, each one of our departments could reach back to the state and communicate with you. And it has been a tremendous resource for us, American Farm Bureau, because every Wednesday I met with all the state presidents. Now it's biweekly. Dale Moore met with the administrators, the communications teams in the states, and our communication team met on Tuesday. We had programs meeting on Thursday and national affairs meeting on Fridays by Zoom. So we were able to listen to you and your staff about what your needs was. And it's been a tremendous success, and it's helped us become closer together, more united. And that's been a very good plus for us, because unity helps us keep us strong working together. I've also made multiple calls to leaders of food industry in the food industry. I've called the areas where we were having problems. I remember talking to Walmart about their policy of only 1 gallon of milk per family, and we had dairymen in parts of the country that was pouring out milk. The policy just didn't make any sense, and we had to try to fix some of those problems. And that's just one example. We also asked USDA to investigate beef pricing, because we know, just like what happened after the Holcomb fire, we had the same thing happen when the pandemic come on, because the packing companies was getting a high price for their boxed meat, and the farmers and beef cattle farmers were receiving even a lower price for their beef. So it didn't look right, didn't feel right, and USDA put that investigation out. We've also talked to the Trade Commodity Commission about it. And then we created our own beef cattle marketing working group. It was made up of 10 state presidents and some of their national affairs people to take a deep dive into what really was going on in the pricing of beef. And that report is out there as a resource to you to create policy, so that when we move into those discussions next year, that our policy is real clear on beef marketing. So we hope you use that material to help make some good policies for us to work with. The other thing I'd like to talk to you about today is the relationships. When I came to American Farm Bureau, I promised you that we'd rebuild relationships, find new partners, and have new relationships. And those relationships that we have built with this administration and other people around Washington have paid huge dividends to our farmers. On those weekly calls that I have with the state presidents, the relationship that I have with USDA and the president delivered some unbelievable guests on those calls. We had the secretary there. We've had congressmen, chairman of the House and Ag Committee. We've had people from the White House on those calls. It was really our way of bringing Washington to you or to your states in a time that you couldn't travel there. So it's been very beneficial, and having that relationship with this administration has been an influence on unprecedented financial aid for our farmers during a very difficult time. I call it the perfect storm. It was already the perfect storm before the pandemic. We didn't think anything else could be thrown at us because we had all kinds of natural disasters. We had trade war, we had depressed prices going into it, and then we put a pandemic on top of it. It definitely was the perfect storm. And this administration has stood behind us financially and helped us along with that. So we're very, very proud of that. Those relationships have been important in the regulatory reform area. We have continued to work with EPA. EPA is finally using some sound science to make some decisions with. The biggest win we probably had in this year is that we were successful in completing the Ditch the Rule campaign. We got rid of the Waters of the U.S. ruling from the Obama administration, and now we have a new rule from this EPA and the Trump administration that's simpler. It provides us with clear rules so that we can provide clean water for our nation, and we are very proud of that success story there. That's just one example of many regulatory reform things that we went through. Biotech rulings, we've had new ones released there. We've also got the requirement for us to report emissions from our cattle. We got us exempt from that. So there's all kinds of regulatory reform that's went on that we've been in the room having those conversations and playing a role in making sure we got them changed or done away with. Can't go through and talk about what's happened without talking about tax reform. This administration delivered tax reform, and we all know that our policy was to eliminate estate taxes. Well, we did get the exemptions raised high enough that it won't negatively affect a lot of our farmers across America. But we also got to remember that it's just for 5 years. So that could come to an end, and we got to be prepared to continue to fight that battle and to continue to try to do away and eliminate the state taxes. Trade has been a bright area. Even though we had a trade war going on, they did provide assistance back to the farm. Of course, it didn't replace everything that we possibly could have lost, but it did give us the opportunity to breathe a little easier while they worked on trade. This administration has taken a different approach with tariffs and hard line, and we renegotiated USMCA, modernized it, brought some of the rules and regulations up to date, which is a very positive thing for us, and also has increased the trade. We estimate another $2 billion on top of the $40 billion that was already in what we had experienced in NAFTA. So that is a bright area. The phase one China agreement, we just got word just this weekend or a few days ago that China is going to be purchasing 71% of their projected sales that they said they'd be buying from us this year. And, even though that's not 100%, it's still real good because it's $23 billion worth. And that's a lot more than what they did last year. We also are seeing those purchases grow. And so we're real excited that in a bad world economy and during a pandemic that they're going to come that close to achieving the goal of what they have promised to do in this year. So trade has been a very bright spot that we think in the future is going to pay us even more dividends. We think it'll continue to grow, and we'll continue to work with this administration on that. If you talk about silver linings in a pandemic or in a bad situation, you have to look around real hard to find silver linings in problems that we have. But one of the silver linings we had was when our consumers or our friends and neighbors started going to the grocery store and back in March and April and saw some empty shelves. It's the first time in our lifetime we've ever experienced that. It made people that wasn't connected to agriculture take a step back and say, what about our food? Is there going to be enough food? Is it going to be safe? And of course, we heard those questions coming up. So we took it on ourselves to create what we call hashtag still farming. It gave us an opportunity to tell the farmer's story and to reassure the general public that we are still farming and that it's not a lack of food that we produce, but just some problems in the food chain getting it to them. So that hashtag still farming has touched over 92 million people. That's a third of our population almost in America. 89 countries have used that hashtag. So it's been a huge success, and we're looking for the next step we do in that to deliver with hashtag still farming. So the other silver lining I would say in this pandemic is it's really made us a stronger organization. Through all the new communication efforts that we have put forth, it has brought our unity closer together. You know, one of our conventions years ago was about unity. And this convention that's coming up in January is going to be about stronger together. It's going to be virtual. We've waived all the fees to be part of it. We're real excited about this opportunity because we think it's going to give more of our grassroots an opportunity to attend our convention. And we think a lot of people outside of agriculture may have so much interest in agriculture today, they may want to look into our organization and see some of the good work that we're doing. We're going to have some fantastic speakers, and it's also going to highlight the great talent that we have working at the American Farm Bureau. So I hope you'll plan on attending our national convention virtually in the comfort of your home, and hopefully you'll enjoy being a part of that national convention. So we're excited about delivering that to you. So unity and stronger together is really something. It's been a silver lining in this pandemic for our organization. You know, I know we look around outside of Farm Bureau, even though we're more united, we see that our country is just terribly divided, and it concerns us all. And it reminds me of a Bible verse in Corinthians chapter 1, verse 10. It says, I appeal to you, brothers and sisters, in the name of the Lord Jesus Christ, that all of you agree with one another in what you say, and that there is no division among you, but you are perfectly united in mind and thought. Our nation seems to be very divided, but I believe that we still are united in the vision and hope of America: life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And I believe the unity that we have in Farm Bureau, knowing that we are stronger together, sets a great example for America. Farm Bureau members represent the best of our nation. And I am so proud to work with and alongside each and every one of you. I hope that you have a very successful convention. And I want to thank you personally for all the time and effort you contribute to in developing our policy. You bring the knowledge that we need to know what you want us to do. It creates a perfect roadmap for us to work by next year. So thank you for all you're going to do in the policy area, and I hope you have a great convention. Thank you, and God bless you.